It's January 11th, 2022, and we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's the day after the national championship game, and it's fair to say that the optimistic spirit that we experienced last evening has been replaced by, well, a spirit of disappointment.
Bennett launching, Mitchell, caught it, touchdown Georgia! It's 3rd and 1, they're gonna throw for it, Bowers has got it, he's got a blocker, touchdown Georgia! From the pocket, launching downfield, underthrown and intercepted. Keely Ringo has an escort down the sidelines. All the way to the end zone, and Georgia is going to conquer the Crimson Tide.
Our guest today created a way to reflect on this moment as a Tide player and a Tide fan. In Athens, Georgia, I'm certain the spirit's a little bit different. In fact, I could almost hear the celebration last evening, though they are hundreds of miles away. The Dogs, they won the championship, their first since 1980. Passion. Tide players and fans have it, and so do the Dogs. They all want their teams to win the championship. Truth is, when you look in the mirror, you want to win a championship as well. You want to win a championship at home, in the workplace, everywhere, with everyone. And you can, if you simply do what champions do and encourage your teammates at home and in the workplace to join you. Today, we kick off our championship season together by investing time with an expert on the topic of building champions and championships. Dr. Kevin Elko has 31 championship rings, and he's the head coach of Supreme Lending and one of the head coaches for the Crimson Tide. He's here to share his game plan so we can all become champions in our own lives. What's up, my man?
Hey, my man.
How you doing?
Couldn't be any better.
Good to see you.
Good
Couldn't
to
be
see
any
you.
better, even after last night. You doing
Hey,
all right?
You know, it's all good. I think that we just got good coming ahead of us.
Well,
So-
I was hoping that was going to be your 32nd championship ring last night that we got. But you know what? I woke up this morning and I was a little bit disappointed, I must say. But you know what was great? Our relationship over time. You taught me something. So what? Now what? Right?
I think what you have to do, Pat, is you have to understand when things happen, we have to learn. My mother used to have a phrase, you either learn or you feel. I mean, if you don't learn something, you're going to go through it again. And I think that we'll learn from it. I think there's things we can learn, get a good identity. I love when somebody just sit over here. Not too bad for a bunch of freshmen.
Not too bad for a bunch
that's
of
good.
freshmen.
Let's not judge people, support people. So what now? What we take the next step?
So what? Now what? Did Coach move on last night, like an hour after the game, and the way he's wired as a champion, and knowing how to build championship teams, would he have moved on the same had they won as if they lost?
I'm friends with Frank Reich, and the Colts were playing Jacksonville, statistically the worst team ever. And he called me after they lost, and all I do is when he get in the playoffs, he said, "We will get over this." And I called him. I go, "No, don't get over it. You don't get over it. You grow through it." And I'm not sure you're supposed to hurry up and get through. We want to get through things very quickly, Pat, because it's uncomfortable. So what? It's painful. So what? And Benjamin Franklin said in Poor Richard's Almanac too, it's pain that instructs. So no, I don't think he'll get over it if we won. I don't think he'd get over it if we lost. I think that I just called him before we came over here, and I don't think it's the goal to get over it. I think it's what did we learn? How can we get better? What's the next steps we can take? So no, I don't think he got over it. I don't think he should get over it. It'll be a while, but it's not get over it as far as would bring me down. I mean, when you look back at some of the things that they've gone through, some of the losses, how they've happened, up big time on Auburn, and Cam comes back. They call it the Cam back, and they won that one, the kick six. There's been some devastating losses that would have taken other people out of it. They come back. And I think it's because they don't get over it. I think they somehow grow through it.
It's a little bit like in our own life, right? I mean, stuff's going to happen in our own life, and we're going to experience pain. But to become a champion and to win championships, whether it's family or whether it's in the workplace, in our business lives, we need to learn something from it, right? And bring those things with us, those experiences with us, so that we don't repeat the processes of our shortfalls or our failures, that we get better from it.
I've learned two things from being out here in the world. Everyone wants to think that their life matters. And when it doesn't, we get crestfallen and sad. But I think we should go to the next level and think that whatever we're going through right now matters. And I don't know if we do that. Not just who I am matters, but whatever this experience is, somehow this matters. How? I don't know. Jeremiah 29:11, there's a plan for my life. And so I have to act like there's a plan for my life. And I have to believe, the poet Rumi said, life stacked in my favor. So I think you almost want to also, Pat, say not just who I am matters, because who you are does matter. But whatever this is right now, it matters too.
I agree. Last night, we watched the game upstairs at the hotel in a bar, restaurant scene. Lots of folks there, passionate about their team and about the players. And then this morning, when I woke up, I was sitting downstairs having a cup of coffee, and I listened to a couple of guys who were lamenting on the night before and the outcome, and they were passionate about wanting the championship. And I thought, I wish all of those people would join us in being as passionate about our own lives and winning championship in our own lives, because we too are, every year we're a season, right? Just like the Alabama season just ended and a new one's beginning. It's the same thing for all of us, because it's the beginning of the year. So there's another season. So I want, maybe if you would, let me ask you some questions that'll help really kind of the folks that are listening here today learn more about what do champions do and what don't they do, and what do championship teams do, because families are teams and businesses are teams. And I don't think there's very much of a difference between the people that played last night and what they go through to become champions and championship teams as well. And congratulations to our friends in Georgia. I live in Georgia. There's a lot of happy people there today. A lot of happy people there. It's all good, you know. They were on social media today, one of our family's friends saying, because they know we're rabid Alabama fans, so is this how it feels all the time? And I said, it sure does. So we want our viewers today to feel like that in their own lives, right? So you've got to be around your entire adult life career, and you've been able to help shape the mindset of coach and championship teams. Tell us specifically, what do like championship players, what do they do? What do they do that's different than other players that don't win championships?
This football coach his team was losing like 35-0 at halftime. He walked into the locker room and said, fellas, there's a hell of a football game going on out there. Can we get in it? Can we get in it? And you talked about fans, but they're a fan, not an arrogant way, but they're a fan of their own life. They know that their life is something that they want to engage in. They're not inactive, passive viewers. They're participants. And we think that the life of goals and vision is an easier life. It isn't. It's a harder life, but it's more meaningful, because it's what just happened last night. There's heartbreak in it. There is sweat. There is me going after what I want with all my might and coming up short at times. It's really risking, being willing to risk. And we are so afraid of failure, and we are so afraid of rejection, as opposed to they are afraid, but there's a bigger fear of not living. And so many people don't want rejected. They don't want the discipline. And so I don't look forward to being rejected, The great ones hate losing more than they love winning, but they play the game. They're involved with life. They're engaged completely, and they have goals and visions, and they go after it. They don't sit around and talk about it. They go and they walk toward it.
You know, I find it interesting because we are passionate about, of course, football, you and I, and a whole host of other folks. And we want the players to play their very best, and we want the teams to play their very best. What we don't see is all the preparation that goes into it, right? The food and the discipline they have to have around their diet, the time in the weight room, the time in the film room to study not only the other players they're playing against, but themselves, right? And then to hear critique in their life every day, coaches telling them the things they need to do to hone their craft, to get a little bit better. I think, you know, we don't like that in our own lives. We want it for other people on the field, but it's not as natural to have it in our own lives, to eat our very best and to discipline our sleep, to make sure we get enough sleep, and to review our game film every day, the way we're living our life at home as parents or as kids, or the things we're doing in the workplace. And when someone in a coaching position, your boss or someone gives you critique, oftentimes people, they don't like to hear it. So isn't it as simple as just imagining you are one of those players on the field, and as we cheer for the players and knowing everything they put into it, that we do the same thing in our own life?
Yes, we have to come to grips with, I think, the biggest epidemic we have today, offended. And if I want to get better, what I need to do is the phrase, separate the who from the do. What we teach them over there, of course, we're in Tuscaloosa. What we teach them is to catfish each other. It's from an MTV show where they shipped cod from Alaska to China in the water alive. And the cod was all mushy. So they got catfish to nip at it to, when it swam away from it, the meat was strong. We need catfishes in our life. Now, you got to be careful. There's a scripture, and I'm not going to say exactly, it's the wise man does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly. I don't want everybody to critique me. I mean, I have people critiquing me and like, you know, you're unemployed, but here's how I'm going to tell you, I'm unemployed, but here's how you should go speak. But I do think, like Nick has 4 or 5 people that give him feedback. And we need to get people around us to, watch this phrase, separate the who from the do. Not, Pat, who you are is wrong, can I change the behavior? And when you get those people around you, we now live in the time of feedback. But you want to be careful at the same time, because today we become great judges of others and better lawyers of ourselves. But I think we do need people around us. We do need to study. We need to get better. We need to keep on saying, here's where I'm headed. How do I get there, the road to character? But we do need to get people around us to give feedback, but not everybody. Make sure, like I've had some relatives try to counsel me on my finances and ask for a loan. Come on. You know, they call all the time, right? So I get it. But I do think you need to have some people that care. Now, I coach some people. I coach this one guy, John Dornbos. American Got Talent runner-up, magician. He said, asked one time, what feedback do you have from me? I says, here's one. Don't take a lot of feedback. Go be an original. I got one. Don't take a lot of feedback. Go be that. Go be that completely what you are. That's different. That's original. So I think we need to have some, but let's not get so much that we get feedback right of just being a cookie cut.
So maybe a good idea is to pick people that you admire because they're doing their thing in life. They're being champions, and then invite them to offer feedback to you rather than just hear it from anybody, is what you're saying. Yeah.
And that you trust and love.
Yeah.
And you want to be careful that you're not getting so much feedback you can't even function. You know, I get so much I don't even know what to do. But you want some people that just gradually give you encouragement, have you think about some things, and separate the who from the do. And I saw on the field last night where a Georgia player went to another player that didn't. An Alabama guy dropped the ball, and a linebacker jumped the other linebacker because he didn't cover what's called the hook zone. And you know, the guy that got challenged, he made the tackle the next play. And so I knew there was a trust there. Matter of fact, at that point, I said, uh-oh, Alabama might be in trouble. I knew there was a trust there in coaching each other.
You know, you hear about championship teams. Let's talk about that. Whether it's, you know, family for all of the folks that are listening, or the team that we all inevitably are involved with when we're in a business. And you hear the term, they have great chemistry. They're selfless. And you'll hear that mostly when they're talking about a championship team, right? You've been around 31 championship teams. What characteristics do championship teams have? Because I think in terms of what we can learn from you about championship teams, about how we would be better in our families and better in our workplaces to make the team better. What are some of those things that you think about when you see those teams? What are those characteristics, Kevin?
It's one, ownership.
Ownership.
It's one. And what happens is they get inside groups, and with every one of these champions I've been involved with, they're inside units, and they keep each other accountable. Accountable isn't punishment. Accountable is the whole concept of ownership. And it's different. And the ones I've been around, they've been accountable in the whole areas. No self-pity, quit getting offended, get to a point where you're pushing yourself and be able to be coached. If I would tell you there's an overarching concept of ownership, it's not your feelings, your choices. You're never going to be as talented as your gifts. You're going to accomplish as far as you can make choices. And so I feel like getting offended, choose not to, choose to be coached. I feel like going into self-pity, I'm going to choose to keep pushing. I feel like quitting, but I'm going to choose to keep going. I feel like holding a grudge, but I'm going to let it go. And so the big thing is accountability with one another inside the unit. That's the number one factor. I've seen it everywhere I've gone.
So each individual in the family being accountable to contribute based on their choices so that the team, the family, can become its very best. And the same thing in the workplace as well. Rather than talking negatively about others and what they're not and what they're, just owning up to your own stuff and making choices to bring your very best every day. Is that it?
And it's one more thing, Pat, paying attention. It's paying attention. If we got people at Supreme, it's okay, we have something we think are good for people. This is fabulous for people. And you got your group together and said, okay, every time you present to someone and ask for business, make a little note and bring it back to us and tell us at the end of the day. Accountability is a lot about paying attention. So let's just say, hypothetically, we want to, I just saw like a quadruple decker sandwich come by, so let's do that one. Let's just say we want to be accountable with our diet. So we'd go, okay, me, you, Ty, teacher, we're going to take today, and everything we eat, we're going to write it down. And then we're going to tell one another at the end of the day, here's what we did. Just be accountable with blessings. Here's the people I reached out to try to encourage today. And you're not bragging, you're telling people, okay, here's what I did. It's the science of paying attention. And discipline all points to the science of paying attention. And we don't pay attention. So whatever matters in your life, you're paying attention to those behaviors all day long that take me to what matters. That's what accountability is, paying attention.
When we were here last year with Coach Saban, we asked him about the process, because that's the word that you hear an awful lot. Inevitably, there's always a process when there's outcomes that are outstanding in life, in your own life, whether it's a diet or whether it's the way you manage your money or the way you manage your relationship at home. He told us a couple of things. He said, first, you need to set goals. Don't worry about outcomes, but set goals to be, your best. What do you want to accomplish, right? Be a champion. Then he said, you got to have a game plan. Like, what's the plan to actually get you to become, the very best of you? And then edit your behavior. One of the best things I heard him say to me was edit your behavior, because most of us are in habits every day of doing things. And if we would just stop and evaluate those things, there's some things we should continue to do, and there's some things that we should stop doing, right? And then he made a comment about not spending your time, but investing your time, making sure that if you have established these goals, that you're investing the time that you have to make sure that it's all wired towards getting the outcomes that you want. And that's the best we could have taken away, kind of the process. My process this year, some of my goals, not have my wife Lisa mad at me the entire year.
I thought that was your goal last year.
It was. It's my goal again this year.
Did you achieve last year?
Twice last year I got tweaked. Not bad. No, I mean,
Dude,
listen.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, when you
that's
talk
Hall
about
of Fame material right there, boy.
You know, when I normally tell people that was my goal, they just stare at me and then they all say, inevitably, every single adult, how'd that work for you? But it actually, I realized that, first of all, it's a person I want to honor. Second, in doing that, I have choices to make to the point of choices, about my emotions. And if I don't like something she did or said, I still have a choice about what I do with my emotions. And so I did that. I taken it to a greater place now, not being mad at anybody this year.
That's pretty good.
Honoring everyone that I come in contact with. And it really doesn't matter what they do back in return. It's about what I'm going to do. I also have another goal this year, kind of in my own championship season, which is to limit my alcohol intake. I enjoy red wine, but there's a place for all of us where we should put boundaries in so that we don't lose the blessing that's in our life, whether it's our body and honoring our temple. And that's the word I'm using this year, honor my wife and all the relationships in my life, honor my body. I've been eating good and exercising good, but limiting alcohol intake would be a way to honor it. And I'm hoping to build 2 Habitat houses this year. One we do in Atlanta, it'll be in our 9th one as a company. And the second one, I know Miss Terry only builds them on years when they win championships, and I was thinking maybe we could help her this year. What goals do you have this year? What are you doing this year? What are some of the things that you know to be a champion this year? What are you doing?
Here's one. I just did my physical. I'm like you, I'm a vegan. But one of my goals was I just did my complete physical. And in the physical, they go, you're in better shape than the Philadelphia Eagles. But then they came back and said, down the road, you need to be careful with sugar. I'm going, I don't take any sugar. But I was taking in just a little bit with wine, and I don't drink much. Or I would do like Arnold Palmer, 1 or 2 a night, maybe 3 nights a week. I go, well, so I got rid of that.
Edit your behavior, right?
Edit my behavior.
You know, when we set goals, which very few people do, and put them in writing, thank you so much, by the way, because when you visited Atlanta a couple months ago, my wife now has yellow stickies all over her mirror when she gets up in the morning because of you, about her goals going on her mirror. So she reminds herself every single day. But we need to write our goals down. But when we do, we need to be not thinking about what we get, because most people are setting goals about themselves and what they can get. And indeed, limiting alcohol, I can get a better body. Being nice to Lisa, I can get a better marriage. But we need to be givers. And what you just talked about, being bold and not being safe, is to step out and help other people and give. I've got a good friend, John Maxwell. I asked him a question because my pastor said, I told him I was going to be interviewing John. He said, ask him this question. I said, what's that? He said, what's the definition of success in your life? And John said for the people that know me best, to love and respect me most. And I thought, what a great goal to have the people that are in my life, home, workplace, love and respect me most because they know me. So tell me about the notes. Tell our audience about the notes so people get goals this year, right? And so that they don't forget them and hold themselves accountable so they make the choices necessary to get what they really want, a championship season. You said make notes and leave them different places for you. What's up with that?
Our conscious mind is a Post-it note. Our subconscious mind is a supercomputer. And what we're trying to do, Pat, is if our mind, this is from the Spartech Tennis Academy, think like a gardener, act like a carpenter. Our mind's like a garden. Plant green beans every day, you get green beans. Plant corn every day, you get corn. If you plant nothing, you get weeds.
That's having no goals,
yeah,
right?
So you got a bunch of crap in there. What you want to do is plant what you want over and over and over. Motivation, it's for amateurs. Inspiration, we're addicted to motivation. And really what you want to do is keep on programming the supercomputer. And if you read something over and over and over, and you plant it over and over and over, then you're going to the supercomputer. That's what you're going after. You really want to get to that point where I'm programming my head for it. That's why Saban uses the language, the notes, the writing out the language. Or this deal, I stole this from my daughter, UCLA, but they try to buy this from me down here because I keep a notebook every day and I write out things that I want to see and keep putting in my head.
Simple.
It's real simple.
Simple.
But the problem is most people don't do it. There was a study done by Mark McCormick, who IMG, actually study he saw at Harvard, where they took an MBA class, 84 of them told them, write out every day those goals. And I just read in the book Decoding Greatness, and also in Claude Steiner, old book years ago on the magic of believing, there's something magic about pen to paper. There's even research about pen to paper. They're not just writing electronically, but pen to paper. So when you write them out, and you keep writing them, you keep seeing them, you're programming the mind.
Got it.
Over and over and
Got it.
over.
Makes all the sense.
So you're not trying to learn something objectively. You're trying to learn it subconsciously, over and over and over, wherever you can put it. So when I speak, all my work is coming from something empirical. And that's the work of Holly Haverson at Columbia, who heads up the Human Motivation Lab at Columbia Business School. She goes, you know, those notes work. I have research that shows it. So when you keep on pushing your head over and over and over, it gets in you. And you start to get to a point where neurons that fire together, wire together, you wire your brain with your plant in the garden. So I tell people, don't try to be inspired. Keep doing it over and over and over until it's deep down.
Because inspiration disappears, right? When the inspirational voice or moment leaves, and the note and the reminder over and over and over again, it stays with you, right? And it rewires
Absolutely.
you. Yeah.
I told us when I spoke to you guys up in Atlanta, they took this African tribe and sat them in a circle and spun a bone. Here the bone spun on, dropped over dead. What? So they came and took doctors from America down to do autopsies. They died of a self-induced heart attack from fear. They believed that so repetitively, so deeply, that it got down in them, and they died when the bone stopped on.
Wow.
Beliefs are powerful, and when they're programmed like that, they're everything. To keep on doing it over and
So
over.
we
and over.
have goals, simple goals, just writing them on the mirror so that you see them first thing in the morning when you wake up, and then write them down during the
Every
course
day.
of the day. Just keep on writing them so that you put yourself in a position where you rewire yourself, because you've already thought and said to yourself, if I do this, I'm going to get closer to being a champion, which is what I want, and to build a championship season, which is what we all want for our lives. And so all we're really talking about is doing those little simple things every single day that help us get there.
So it's important how we frame what happened to us. Is that awful or terrible, or did it happen for me? And I don't know how something happened for me when it happened. But down the road one day I'll be able to tell you when it reveals itself to me.
You either have the monies, isn't that it?
Yeah, you either have when you go to a test, when you go through any kind of a test, you either have a testimony or a bad case of monies.
A bad case of the monies. Yeah, I think most people have a bad case of the monies, right? Stuff happens to them in their life, and it is indeed either painful or challenging. It's adversity, and that be safe is to kind of walk away from it, and to be bold is to accept it, and know that on the other side you're going to be better for having gone through it,
And believe in it.
Yeah, I have to say it, I'm a big Tide fan, but the little Stetson Bennett fellow, the mailman as they call him, the quarterback, you listen to his story, it's a little bit like David versus Goliath, faced great adversity. In fact, when they lost the SEC championship game to Alabama, I live in Atlanta, you couldn't talk to anyone who did not want him off the field. Somebody else, give us anyone else. And he had to weather that. And last night, in the closing moments, when it became obvious that they were going to win a championship, I felt a tremendous amount of really love for the guy, because I thought he just showed us how to take adversity and to be bold and to work his way through it, and to have last night then, which is to experience that championship. Had it been safe, it'd been easy to back up and just accept all of that. Hey, I've been meaning to ask you for a favor. That ring you got right there, I just like to put it on one time. Know what
My
it's like
fingers are little, but you go right
to
ahead.
win a championship
That way.
season. I'm gonna go ahead and put on my pink. That doesn't look good. It looks like I should be in Las Vegas with that. But I'll tell you what, that's what it's like to have a championship season. You know what? I want that so badly for the folks that are Supreme this year. And we would register a championship season to be a season where all of our folks in the organization confirm that we're the best place to work. And they would do that because they know that they're being loved on and they're being challenged at the same time, which I think is what great leaders and great coaches do, to be their very best. And so they can win championships at home and in the workplace. And I might just get a ring like this. I'll tell you what, how about this? We win the championship at Supreme this year. We're going to come back here and meet the same time next year.
Let's do it.
And hopefully you'll have a new ring to put on.
I'm ready. I need a new shot. I need
right?
some new shot.
Exactly. Kevin, thank you so much. Just
I
for
love
being
you.
a great friend. I
God
love
bless
you too,
and I
brother.
love what you do.
Yep.
Thank you.
It was an incredible blessing to connect with Dr. Kevin Elko again in person in Tuscaloosa to kick off building a championship season in 2022. Sure, I was hoping to celebrate another championship season for my favorite team, Alabama. However, it's been amazing to watch the joyful celebration of so many Bulldog fans, fellow Georgians, after their 41-year-old drought came to an end. The rest of the country might be over our little SEC rivalry, but I'm looking forward to more epic battles to come. Truth is, we make each other better. UGA has now put in place what Alabama has long since established, a strong foundation to build champions and championship teams. What about you? You're a Georgia fan, you're an Alabama fan. Are you going to build a championship for yourself this year? Will this be another year that you just endlessly watch others around you succeed and wonder why it can't happen for you? Or are you finally ready to make this year your year? I am. We all intend here at Supreme to make 2022 a championship season at home, in the workplace, everywhere, with everyone. If you're ready, then so are we. We're ready to inspire you, to educate you, and to give you the tools to be a champion. Start by visiting gps.supremebest.com and enter your preferred destinations for your 6 areas of life that we all share in common. Then outline your path, your plays to get to best, the route that you need to get to your destination. If you want different results this year, you need to do things differently than you did last year and apply Coach Saban's principle of editing your behavior, part of the process. Next, tap into what Dr. Elko discussed on today's program, resiliency. Why? Well, there will be adversity along your path to best. Finally, make sure you have a voice of accountability in your life, someone who loves you enough to hold you accountable so you stay on track and finally become a champion this year at home and in the workplace. We're honored to be one of those voices, urging you to pursue and to wind up at your destination best. Join us next month as we take all this championship talk to the next level and discuss the power of habit with New York Times best-selling author Charles Duhigg. Best is waiting. Meet you there.